Hello, and welcome back to the rundown here on Sport Tank YouTube and all our different streaming platforms that we have. My name's Ewan Campbell. I'm here this week with Kwame. Kwame, how are you, my friend?
I'm blessed. I'm all good. My body's feeling all right. My mind is feeling all right. Can't ask for more right now.
Now, we'll get on to the obvious between myself and yourself in a bit with regards to our two teams from over the weekend. Let's start where we always start, first of all, in the National Premiership. So we had two games this week in the National Prem. Uwe Bullets against Loughborough at Uwe. Uwe won 56-0 in this one. We both picked Uwe to win this one fairly convincingly. No real surprises for you, and shutout for Uwe Bullets as well.
Yeah, I'm not personally surprised, to be fair. If I'm absolutely honest, it's pretty much what I expected. Again, Uwe just getting the job done as expected. By now, nobody would really expect them to be, in any tight games, apart from if they're playing against Nottingham. Obviously, if they were to play against Durham would obviously not get absolutely battered. But, I mean, yeah, get the job done.
Move on to the next week.
Just lost me there for a second. Yeah, get the job done and on to next week.
Yeah, and similar in the other game as well. Actually, Uwe and Notts both scored the same amount of points offensively this week, both scoring 56. Notts conceding 7 to Leeds in the end. So Notts 56, Leeds 7. That puts Notts at the top of the National Prem. They are 4-0, 163 points for, 45 against. Leading the way, Nottingham Gold.
Yeah, it was a lovely 49 burger for them, I suppose. Yeah, I mean, putting 56 points on them, conceding 7. Of course, I'd imagine they won't be too happy with the points conceded, but given their current record, given their position in the table right now, I don't think going into Christmas that they will care too much. But again, you would always love to get that shutout, clean sheet, whatever. But a win is a win, and that's the most important thing. For everybody who got the win today, I think that's the most important thing they'll take away. Whatever happens, the score, any issues or anything, I think they will all take back seat to just the fact that you got the win. And that's the main thing in this sport. Just win, maybe that's what Al Davis said.
Yeah. Leeds at the bottom of the National Prem at the moment. Played 5, lost 5, 22 points for, 255 against. So they're averaging 50 points against per game at the moment, which tough. Can't be easy for Leeds Beckett really when they're having to go against such high-powered offenses in the top 3 teams in Nottingham, Uwe, and Durham. And then also again when they play against Loughborough as well. Let's have a look at the fixtures for next week, as we can sort of talk about if there are any games on next week. We've got 2 games next week in the National Prem. Leeds Beckett hosting Uwe Bullets in the north, in Yorkshire. Tough, really, ask for Leeds Beckett to get any sort of positive performance out of this. I guess what sort of things do you think are key for Leeds in this game, going into a game that you sort of expect to lose?
Put a drive together. Don't let your heads drop because the inevitable will happen, right? I've had to play a bit of a similar, slightly different story, but I've had to play teams like London Warriors, Bristol Aztecs. I've been on teams where we've played them with 20, 25 players, right?
Yeah.
And we had a 0 in our win column. Both of these instances, or multiple of these instances, I played for teams where we've had a 0 in our win column. You're coming up against a team that is going to win, and they're very more than likely going to put at least 30 points on you, right? Make it 40, 50, or even 60 if we're not about our shit, right?
Yeah.
So in those situations, it's always about the small wins. You know, you're not going there. Of course, the coach is not going to say to the players, right, you guys are going to lose by 50, just do your best, right? Coach is never going to say that, otherwise they won't be in the job very long, right? So you have to think about the small wins. You have to think about putting a drive together. You have to think about whenever, the score, if the score is a running clock in the first half, you've got to think about, we've got to try and stop them from running the score up. Otherwise, your next challenge is obviously avoid a running clock. Your next challenge then is, put some positive drives on, think about field position, field tilt throughout the game, rather than looking at the score all the time. Sometimes these are little things you've got to look at. Each player's got to win their individual battle enough times, right? Enough times to make it look at least like a fight. You've got to put some fight in. And this is going to be a real tough task for Leeds Beckett. Everybody and their dog and their nan and their uncle will be betting against them. But if they can put up a score, even if they lose 80-7, of course that would be a big, 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 huge loss. Let's not lie about it or anything. But if you put up 7 points, you put up 14 points, even a score and a field goal against reigning champions, 3-4-time champions in a row, right? That is a success story in itself. If everyone's expecting you to lose 100-0 and you only lose 65-0, yeah, it's a big loss, but I suppose you've done a little bit better than everyone predicted, and that in itself might be one of the positives that they might need to take from a game like this.
Yeah, I think you probably look at the previous result where Uwe won 62-0 and you think, okay, let's beat that. Of course, they managed to put scores on the board in both games they've played so far against Nottingham. So they scored 12 in the first game and then 7 in the second. So yeah, I guess get on the scoreboard, and if you can keep it below 50, then it gives you a bit of confidence going into sort of the Christmas break and stuff. Okay, let's have a look at the other game going on in the National Prem. Big, exciting game, which with the two teams that have struggled compared to the top three, we haven't had many of this year so far. So it is Nottingham Gold playing at home to Durham Saints. Now, Durham actually have the best defense in the league at the moment. They've only conceded 40 points. They have played a game less than the two teams above them, but still been able to put up points across the board so far. They haven't played Nottingham yet, so it's the first time this season the guys meet. What are you expecting in this game from two really strong teams?
I'm expecting a lot more of a fight from Durham, I should say, than we saw against that Loughborough would put up and Leeds Beckett would put up. I think Durham are a clear sort of class in the middle right now. We have Uwe and Notts, and we have Loughborough and Leeds Beckett, and then Durham sort of slot right in the middle. The question is, how close, or are they closer to, which side are they closer to? The bottom half or the upper half, 40%, I'd say. But I do think they'll put up a strong fight. I do think they'll put up at least a score. I don't think they'll concede a stupid number. It won't be like 40 points that they let up. I think somewhere between 2 and 5 scores, I think they'll give up, and they'll probably score 1 or 2 themselves. But again, I don't think it will be a runaway game. I don't think there'll be a running clock. I don't think, the Durham are a team that are going to drop their heads if not even get a couple of scores. I think it'll be these guys, particularly Durham, are in a position where they know that they can batter some teams, and they know that they can get battered if they don't have their shit together. They're in that sort of middle ground where I think they're used to, if a team was to put up a score on them, 14-0, whatever, I don't think they'd be down and out. They would still keep their heads up. Whereas a lot of teams, I feel like, especially in sort of Div 1, Div 2, where games don't really have many twists and turns as per se, I think a lot of teams sort of go a couple scores down and just lose their heads completely.
Yeah.
I don't think Durham are one of those guys.
Yeah, well, no, and it's definitely the case. I mean, we saw in the UE game with Durham, 28-17, they lost. So only losing by 9 points in that game. Let's get some predictions as we look forward to next week's games then. So Leeds Beckett against UE Bullets. Who are you taking in that one?
I'll go UE Bullets. I mean, it's pretty much a no-brainer, that one there.
Yeah, I'll
I'll be
take
very,
UE.
very, very surprised if Leeds Beckett win, and I will probably personally apologise. I won't go up to Leeds myself, but I mean, I'll have to apologise for that one. But
If
I can
if
never
Leeds
win.
if Leeds Beckett win, I'll run naked around my road. Seriously,
Come
I
on,
can't
Leeds
see.
Beckett.
I
Come
can't.
on, Leeds Beckett.
I can't see it happening at all. Going to back my old boys, UE Bullets. And then in the second game, so as we were just talking about, Nottingham Gold against Durham Saints. Who are you taking in this one, Kwame?
I will take the gold, not by as much as UE, but I will take the gold fairly comfortable for them. But Durham to put up a fight.
Yeah, I think this could be this to me sort of could really bring Durham's chances of winning the national championship this year into fruition if they manage to get a win over Nottingham Gold. I'm not writing them out of this at all with their performance against UE and how they've done in some of their other games. Defensively, possibly they are not as strong as the Gold. Possibly. I'm going to take the gold in this one, but I think it'll be a one-score game. I think it's going to be close, and if Durham win, I wouldn't be surprised.
I think they'll have it eventually. I don't know if they'll have it this year. Durham at home, just to confirm.
Nottingham are at home.
Nottingham at home. I think that gives me more confidence of picking Nottingham. But I do think over the next sort of season or two, I think Durham will continue to close the gap. I mean, Nottingham and UE are fantastic at recruiting. It's no surprise now, and it's no news story. We know what they're going to do every year, and there's a few other teams in the Prem and Div One that recruit maybe almost as well. Sort of the quality you're going to get with like SGS, for example. They will always have players who are experienced, and some of the teams will always be up there, competing and recruiting and taking the best talent, whether it's from the UK or from the rest of Europe or even America. But I do think that gap will gradually close as more guys start to go to other unis to actually compete more, and it will raise the whole standard of Uniball, and that's only a good thing, personally. But I do think Durham are closing the gap, or will close the gap on the other teams. I just don't know how long it will take.
Okay, interesting. Okay, so we've both gone for Nottingham in that one. Let's move on now to the Prem North. We had two games in the Prem North this week. So we had Leeds Griffins at home to Nottingham Trent NTU. We both took NTU in this one after their win against Warwick last week, and after being just 6-6 at half time, NTU put up 29 points in the second half to win the game.
Impressive.
So I'm not I'm not sure how you managed to keep them to 6 and then go, but a bit of a collapse from Leeds in the second half after putting up a really strong performance in the first.
Yeah, definitely. I remember watching Leeds. Sorry, not Leeds. I was about to say Leeds Beckett for some reason. I remember watching Nottingham Trent last season. Me and Steve did the live stream for the playoff game. It was in Portsmouth, and I remember Leeds Beckett quite struggled against Portsmouth. They had their run game with number 10, Nabechi Abana, just running rampant, running circles around them, right? And I really felt for Nottingham Trent because I felt like in that game they had no options aside from a semi-competent run game. And I say that with the most respect because they did try, they did go for it, but the wind was not in their favor in the first quarter, and they had to just rely on the run, and they just didn't have that same. I was going to say diversity; it's not the right answer. Dynamism, I should say. They didn't have that same dynamic offense that Portsmouth had. And I felt like Portsmouth really had their number. And going into this season, I was sort of wondering how they would get along, how they would get on. And it seems like they're doing all right in Div 1. Sorry, not Div 1, in the Prem North. It seems like they're doing all right in that side. But when it comes to the playoffs, I really do feel for the North guys. You're coming up against some real beaters. And obviously, the Pride, the Burners, the Destroyers, if they're there, the Demons and the Cobras, any of those guys, realistically, all five of them, I think, has a chance to win their first playoff game. So I really feel for the North guys, and it's tough for me because I don't get up there and because I don't watch them very often. it's hard for me to really judge them. But I feel like I would like to think that they've improved over that game. Is what I'm trying to say. That game was a
Yeah,
real struggle for them, and it looks like, you know, they might have some teething issues throughout games. You know, teams are going to look at them and be like they're the ones to beat, them and Warwick. You know, but I do think that they are pretty comfortable where they're at right now.
yeah. I mean, as we speak about NTU, they're currently top of the Prem North. Played 4, won 3, lost 1. Obviously being that first game against Warwick. They've got scored the most amount of points in the division, but 71 points in 4 games. When we look at some of the other divisions, is it's not it's not particularly a high powered offense or sort of putting up loads of points, but they do have the best defense as well. Keeping it to just an average of 9 points a game that they're conceding. All right, so let's move on to the other game that we saw in the Prem North, and bit of a surprise this one to everyone apart from Newcastle.
And
Newcastle
myself,
winning a 1-point game, 19-18 against Warwick.
I can't say I'm surprised, to be honest. I had a feeling it was going to be a tough journey up there, but it was always going to be anyone's game. Warwick are a tough team, and they showed, to make it a 1-point game. To go up to Newcastle is not easy. To travel, any team having to travel 3 hours plus or 2 hours plus, 2.5 hours plus, it's going to be a tough task. It's going to be a difficult game. You probably won't play 100%. You're going to be cramped on the coach, sitting there, sleeping upright. These conditions are not the best. Obviously, Americans who get to fly and stay in hotels and all sorts. In the NCAA, it's very different, right? But we don't have that in Britball, and there's going to be a lot of rusty performances for these long away days. I feel like a lot of teams. This is why I say, guys like, again, not a Uniball team, but South Wales Warriors. I always say they're the favourite for all their home games and the underdog for all their away games because they have to travel so far. And I always look at it, and the team has to travel far. I always look at it as this could be a tough game for them just for that.
Yeah.
And even when a team wins by traveling away, they usually don't put up a huge score if they have to travel far. So, I mean, it shows. Home field advantage really is a thing when you get to the higher divisions.
Yeah, massively. And I think it shows as well, because if you look at the team, if you look at Newcastle, right, they've only played one of their 4 home games so far this year. So they've got their second home game next week. But only one team has come to them and they've lost. So it is that sort of real home field advantage that you do get when teams do have to travel that far, like you said. You took Newcastle in this game, like you said. You saw it coming with the long journey possibly affecting Warwick a little bit, maybe other factors contributing as well. But that now means, well, it doesn't mean because it's already happened. But every team in the Prem North has lost a game so far this season. Let's have a shout for. I'll run you through the table. Let's have a shout for who you think's gonna get the bye and get the top seed in the Prem North. So currently Nottingham Trent played for 1-3, lost 1. Warwick played for 1-2, lost 2. Newcastle played 3, 1-2, lost 1. Northumbria played for 1-2, lost 2, and then Leeds played 3, lost 3.
I think we can comfortably say that Leeds will probably go down or will face the winner of Div 1 North in terms of if they still have the Pro Rel game.
Yeah.
As for the others, I really think that it hinges on who can go to Newcastle and win. Because Warwick being 1 game behind NTU, they've both played each other, split the series. They're not going to face each other again, right?
Mm.
I think if NTU can go to Newcastle and win, they'll win overall. They'll win the whole thing. But I think if Newcastle can beat NTU, I feel like there's a good chance. Right now we're looking at a 3-horse race, and Newcastle can probably sneak it, by winning all their home games. I do think they need to win maybe 1 or 2 away games. They'll beat, Leeds right now is looking like cannon fodder, and I don't think anyone's really thinking about them. But again, this is very, very dangerous territory because I don't think Leeds are particularly whipping boys as per se. I don't think they're in the division just for the sake of it, for a fun day out and just to, have the piss taken out of them. They are there and they're looking to get a win, and they will look to try and stay in that division because, if they do get one win, you've still got 5 games to go. You get 2 wins and you could be in it. You could stay up. There's teams that are 2-1, 2-2, and they could lose all the rest of their games. So I do think right now we're looking at Nottingham Trent are probably the favourites, given they're on 3 wins right now. But they still have to go to Newcastle, and I do think. Have you got the list up there? When does Nottingham Trent go to Newcastle?
Next week.
Next week. This will be
tasty.
This will be the one. This will be. I hope. The thing is, I know that obviously we aren't live streaming the game, and I know that Dev Chat aren't live streaming the game because they're all based down south. I really hope that someone can live stream that game, whoever it is, whether it's Newcastle's university themselves. Just get a couple film studio guys down and just live stream the game, right? Honestly, I would make myself available to commentate by stream remotely if I can, if I have to, right? I just want to see that game because that will tell me everything I need to know for the North.
Yeah, it's definitely an exciting thing, and I think people will definitely be keeping a keen eye on how that game goes next week. So let's get a prediction. Newcastle at home. Nottingham Trent, I think it's probably a 3-hour drive minimum to go up to Newcastle.
It's a bit of a longer drive than it was for Warwick, wasn't it?
Yeah, a bit of a longer drive. You got to make it. You got to make a pick.
A longer drive. Do you know what? I'm gonna go with my South Wales theory, and I'm gonna go with Newcastle again. But I think that this game again, I genuinely think there'll be a field goal in it, or less than 3 points. It'll be a very similarly tight loss, or tight loss for Nottingham Trent if they lose. If they win, it'll be a tight win. But just for the sake of it being a long journey, I'm going to go with Newcastle. But it could go anywhere. I genuinely think it could go anywhere.
So Google Maps is saying it's 3 hours, 5 minutes. Add on the fact that it's a coach. That probably adds on another 25 minutes. You're probably stopping on the way as well because the O-line want to get some food from Mackey's. So
not really that, but everyone fits together is all cramped up as well. I remember my running back days, I used to sit with the O-line. It was the worst. I hated it.
You're scrunched. You got no space on your seat. Yeah. So
when I switched to DB, it was amazing because if anyone sat next to me, it was going to be another DB. So I was like, I've got so much space. It was great.
So it is looking like a 4-hour journey. So you're taking Newcastle.
Newcastle for 4 hours extra sleep and not having to travel on a cramped coach next to linemen. And there's almost always one lineman or one person in the team that absolutely stinks of BO before a ball has even been kicked. There's always one person, and you just whatever. Like they might be the reason this team loses. I'm sorry, but they might be the reason. Like, if it's players need to shower before they get on the bloody coach. Coaches are
shower deodorant. That's the thing. When it's an early coach, you can guarantee someone's waking up going, I can't be bothered. I'll shower after the game. But no, shower before the game.
It's the worst.
All right, I'm gonna. You know what? Because it was such a close win over Warwick, 1 point, and Warwick will be leaving that thinking we had them. I'm gonna go for NTU. I've been on the NTU hype train this season. I'm gonna stick with NTU.
The thing is, I don't want to discredit or disbelieve in NTU because I do believe they can get the job done. Especially after the Warwick game, they'll be looking at it like, okay, we had a tight game with Warwick. They've obviously lost to Newcastle. So obviously Newcastle aren't no joke. We can't play around there. We have to be ready. But 4 hours in a division where everyone has already lost. If they were unbeaten, I think I'd be inclined to pick them. But
yeah, but I think it was their first game of the season when they lost to Warwick, and it was by 3 points. So
it was a tough one. Their win was a tight win, wasn't it? Their win over Warwick was that at 1 point.
Yeah, it was last week. 1 point.
It's one of the ones where you just never know. I genuinely think this division might actually, if everybody could go 4-4 in this division, they probably would.
Sorry, it was a 4-point game last week. Nottingham Trent lost to Warwick.
That was it. Still, I mean, less than a score in it tells you that it could go any way. If somebody had dropped a pass or tipped something, the whole game goes the other way, and we're having a completely different conversation about how Warwick are the favourites right now, and Nottingham Trent need to get their shit together. So,
very true. Very true. It can flip around very quickly. Okay, Let's move on to the Prem South. 2 games this week in the Prem South. Let's start in Bristol, where we had SGS 42, Portsmouth 0. Now, last week I spoke about how I could see an upset coming here. SGS absolutely shut me up and made sure that there was absolutely zero chance of an upset by absolutely blowing out Portsmouth. You picked SGS in this one, Kwame. Are SGS back?
I mean, they're in the conversation. They're thereabouts. I think they are. When it comes to playing against Portsmouth, they're back. When it comes to Exeter, I think they're back. When it comes to Cardiff, it's still a bit tight, bit of a toss-up. And when it comes to Brunel, I think Brunel still have them at this moment.
Yeah.
Given it was a home win. Just wanted to double check. The game against Cardiff, was Cardiff at home or was SGS at home?
We were at home. Cardiff were at home.
I still think Cardiff will probably cause questions in the SGS game away.
Yeah.
I've seen Cardiff look dangerous at home, but not as dangerous away, which is the only thing that worries me about that return fixture. But I do feel like this win will give a lot of confidence to SGS, and I'll be thinking, our season's finally started. I know I was speaking to some of their guys after the Brunel game, and I know how down and annoyed they were at that game. They thought that they really could have taken the game to Brunel, and of course, if you're watching, their offense really surprised me because they didn't really show anything other than running.
Yeah.
But they're really gonna feel like they should have got something out of that game, or should have at least fought and competed more. So to come back a week or two later and really put Portsmouth to the sword, absolutely crucify them, it's going to be a massive, massive boost for them. And I think for Portsmouth, it's a head scratcher because some people will be thinking, is this the nail in the coffin for Portsmouth? Are they essentially waving goodbye to the Prem? But we'll wait and see. They still have a few games to go. It's an uphill battle for them. But SGS will definitely feel, we're back. Our season started. Let's go. Win next week. Win again. And for them, they want to be 6-1 when they go to Brunel.
Yeah.
To keep themselves in the shout in the conversation, they want to be 6-1, and I think that they have the potential. They will have at least 5 wins when they go to Brunel.
Yeah, I think with Portsmouth, it's tough because Portsmouth were very happy, quite rightly, with their win over Exeter, which could well being a really, really important win in terms of how we look at the teams that could get relegated at the end of the season. Looks like that Exeter game for them is going to be a massive, massive toss-up. And it also comes down to how well they perform in the other games. And if you look at it, that big score against Portsmouth, Exeter, I think we can have a look actually. Exeter SGS, they lost. Well, they haven't played them yet. Exeter. No, they've still got to play them twice. So it could well be down to how well they perform in the other games after Portsmouth won that first tie. SGS, it's difficult because it's hard to tell whether they just
they could have battered Portsmouth and Portsmouth dropped their heads a lot and sort of
Yeah, well, the first game
Portsmouth have some good guys in their team. All of these teams, everyone, when you get to this level, there's no easy wins. There's no beaters. It's not like you're playing against a team who's just come up from Div 2 where you don't really have to do anything in Div 2. To be honest, you just got to have someone who can throw a ball and a defense that functions. But going up to the Prem, everyone has a full roster. Everyone has players in every roster. Every team has guys who are either on scholarship or good enough to be on scholarship or good enough to play in Europe, whether that's GFL, whether that's Maple League, whether that's AFL, whether that's ELF. Every single team has guys that are good enough to play in these leagues. So, we have superstars. Portsmouth have a defensive end who was playing for Fairhaven Iron Throners.
Yeah,
I might be wrong with the team actually, but I'm fairly certain it was them. And these guys are not shit. These guys, they're not playing for these teams by accident. So obviously they're clearly top athletes. But when you come to a high division like the Prem, it means so much more than to just have top players in certain positions. You need to have a roster that's good enough. And I don't know about the rest of the roster apart from, defensive nose tackle. They've got a brilliant guy. They've got a good running back. They've got some pretty good defensive backs. Their quarterback is good enough to distribute the ball around the field, at least. I'm not saying I've seen him maybe once or twice. And if I'm right, if it's the guy who plays for the Blitz, I might be right, I might be wrong on this one, I might be completely waffling, but he's all right, And I say all right as in, I'm not saying this guy is world class, he should go to the NFL. I'm not saying he's shit, but minimum is enough to get the job done, right? Enough to give you guys an offense that can drive down the field. I just don't know if they'll be able to get it over the line with the other teams. They're going to have to go and play these games against Exeter, and they'll look at the other game against Cardiff, and they're going to have to fight in these games because other than that, Portsmouth obviously lost to SGS twice. They're not going to beat Brunel unless, barring a huge collapse. I don't see them beating Brunel. And quite frankly, I don't think they're going to go away from home and put up a big score. So, the game that they lost against SGS as well, bigger scoreline than the game they lost against Brunel. So that will definitely give some positives to SGS and a bit of panic to Portsmouth, considering some of the other teams and some of the other scores in the division. So I think heads will be scratched, eyebrows will be raised, questions will be asked, and there'll be a long film review for this Portsmouth team this week. There'll be a long film review.
Yeah, and I guess for Portsmouth as well, they can now they've got no more games for Christmas, so they can go into Christmas break, rest, recuperate, try and figure out maybe something different, a new look maybe that they're going to give going into the rest of the season. And SGS, they've got a game next week, and it's a good game to come off a win. Let's go to the other game in the Prem South, and it was over in South Wales. Cardiff 15, Brunel 20. Possibly a closer one than a lot of people would have expected going into this game. Based on sort of what you've seen and heard, Kwame, what are your thoughts on what happened?
Initially, because I was going obviously off by your live updates essentially. So I went from yes, we're winning to shit, we're losing to yes, we're winning again to it's just a roller coaster. And then all of a sudden you said 1 point down, 2-minute warning, and I said, oh well, our unbeaten record's gone, and then you text me last minute saying they scored, and I was like, goodness me, I've never been part of. I don't think I've been. Okay, that's a complete lie. I've been part of very few Brunel games where we have won a tight game. My memory is obviously when I first joined the team, we were Div 2. We had an overtime game against Bristol Barracuda, pouring down rain, horrible weather. 2017, I believe it was, or something like that. If anyone went to Bristol and remembers, by all means, give us your take on it. But there's been a few tight games, but for the most part, the tight games that we had when I was there were games that we ended up losing. 7-6 and 8-6 in the playoffs. I believe we lost a 12-8 game or something, or an 8-6 game to Imperial once in a regular season, and then there was another game that, just ridiculously low scores games that was just frustrating, and it's like you can't get over the line. But to see Brunel fight and take it to the last minute shows me a different side of Brunel that I've never seen before. I've never seen them actually fight when backs are against the wall and get it done. So props to them, props to the offensive coordinator and the head coach and the quarterback and the offense for getting it done. But again, I do know that there were some messy tight games that they had last season. I was an 11-8 against Brighton, who only just stayed up. And obviously they're doing well in Div 1 now. So there were some tight games, and obviously the final as well against Bournemouth wasn't particularly a shutout or anything. It was a very relatively tight game until the last 2 minutes. So Brunel have showed that they can get it done in dogfights. And this one here sort of just probably is for them the icing on the cake, but also it's probably they would have been thinking, right, we go there, we stick to our game, get the job done, go home, celebrate, And I think in a scenario like this, they'll be thinking, yeah, things obviously didn't go our way throughout the whole game. They didn't, roll Cardiff into the ground. Cardiff obviously stuck around, kept fighting, took the lead, lost the lead and took the lead again. For an entertaining game that goes both ways, obviously I would have loved for that game to be live streamed. I would have loved for it because that would have been an absolute amazing game. But so they can get the job done, brilliant. Obviously for Cardiff, massive kick in the teeth. But I think that they should really, as you said the other day, it definitely seems like a bit of a win for Cardiff. The predictions and the assumptions by a lot of people would have felt that Brunel probably run away with it, given their record, given the score in the previous game. So for Cardiff to come within seconds of winning and to be a point ahead in the last minute and only lose by a score, that in itself, Cardiff can hold their heads high and say, look, we've had the closest game with Brunel, arguably for the past 3 years, maybe 4 years, I want to say. I can't remember a game that was that tight with Brunel. My last game against SGS was 7-0 until the last minute. That wasn't as tight as this, So I think Cardiff can definitely take some wins from this. Brunel will probably be thinking, we should have got the job done sooner. We should have done this. We should have done that. But, coulda, woulda, shoulda. End of the day, the only thing that matters is the win. But well played to Cardiff for making it a game. And Brunel took it by the skin of their teeth by the looks of it and from what I heard. So entertaining game for the neutrals, but both teams have positives and negatives they can take from that. And I think that both teams will be here next season battling. And I think that both teams will believe, if Brunel doesn't go up, Cardiff will definitely believe that they can win the division next year if Brunel does go up. And I think both teams will be looking at it to compete against each other for years to come. So well played to Cardiff, and I actually can't wait to see them play. I really want to see them play against SGS, and hopefully I'll be at that game.
Yeah, okay. So I'll give you my take. So I think that this game shows maybe some of the weaknesses of Brunel. And to me, that weakness is that if they don't have DM3, their D1, running back who broke records in college and whatever, I don't think they're anywhere near the same team. And I think that Cardiff, we just showed that if you don't have him, you can stop him or slow him down or work harder to stop these carries. And when he's getting sort of 7-8 yards a carry, you really hurt Brunel. I'm not going to go and say they're a one-man team by any stretch of the imagination. After beating us 50-7 in the first game, I think if you 99% of people at Cardiff, we would have said, would you have taken being up going into the final 2 minutes? Absolutely, they'd have bitten your hand off. I think I don't want to be disrespectful to Brunel, but possibly it shows as well that maybe some of the scholars aren't having as much of an impact as possibly they thought they would in terms of blowing teams out. I mean, DM3 is obviously a hell of a player, and also I want to just say, let's also hope he gets better. Hope he gets healthy as well, because we want to see the best players being able to play, and hopefully he manages to recover from. I think it was a hamstring he had and had to come out. So hopefully,
I didn't hear about that. I heard he was hurt, but I didn't know how bad it was or anything. So
yeah, I don't think it's majorly serious, but obviously good that Brunel have the Christmas break coming up. But hey, came down to the last play of the game almost, where Cardiff kicked off after going ahead with a punt return. I spoke to you last week about Mark Kosgei and how SGS had game planned around him. There's a reason for that, because he took a punt return to the house again this week. So he
an entertaining player. For someone I've never watched, I mean, I'm in awe of someone I've never seen met or watched before. I mean, just from the way you're describing it. I really want to watch this guy play, and I really want someone to punt to him just for the sake of it, so I can see it. You know?
And he scored the other receiving touchdown in the game as well. So it's quite clear at the moment who's been a key player for Cardiff, and who's been a key player for Brunel. So
I do think though as well, it's a bit of what you said about obviously stopping DM3. I mean, it's a case of shock horror. A team without one of their best players isn't as good as without them. Bloody. I was trying to think of a team for a second. My mind's gone completely blank. But yeah, like Buffalo Bills without Josh Allen. You snap in Mitch Trubisky and they're suddenly a shit team. But then again, Trubisky in front of anyone is a shit team. But yeah, good game. I do think, yeah, you're right. Questions will be asked about obviously the scholars and stuff. But I also think that it's important for the other side. It's important for any team to have tight games because, you never want to. In my experience, every time that I've seen a team absolutely cakewalk through the regular season, they get a tough game in the playoffs and lose. Apart from the first year SGS came into the league and they were in Div 1 because it was 40, 50, 60 and 70-0 and they still won the whole thing. But
yeah,
for most
I know
teams,
what you mean,
you want at least one tight game in the regular season. Sort of. Maybe this was a good thing. Maybe it was a good thing that it happened to Brunel because this will wake them up a bit and to say, look, we have to. The job's not done. If we didn't get everything done on that last drive, we lose that game. I've seen us in games where we've flopped on the last drive. I've seen things happen, and I've seen a lot. And for it to work, great, but it's a wake up call for the Burners. For me personally, you're not going to cakewalk every game unless you absolutely come flying out the gates. And we've seen teams have scored first against Brunel. What happens when you score first against Brunel? The momentum changes, and suddenly it's back against the wall, and suddenly it's panicking. Suddenly we have to get a score, and if it doesn't happen straight away, the next 2-3 drives, if they lose the ball or don't score, suddenly it's nails are being bitten and alarm bells are ringing now, and it's people are losing their heads. Not specifically these guys, but in general, any team that loses momentum, and I think this result, even though it's a loss for Cardiff, I think it can be good for both teams because both teams will improve from it. I think Cardiff will cause an upset somewhere this season. I think.
Yeah, and I mean, let's have a look at. I mean, I saw Sam Johnson there just said 2 scholars on the entire team. By the way, which I mean, if that's the case, fair enough. That surprises me. Maybe it's how they're defining scholars. I don't know, but I mean, there's definitely more than two Americans, I'm sure, on that team. No, I mean, hey,
for some reason I can't see comments or anything for some reason.
Okay, don't worry. It was Sam Johnson, who I assume is from Brunel, saying 2 scholars on the entire team. Well,
yeah, Sam SJ, he's a general manager of Brunel. We both started at the same time. Actually, we both started uni at the same time, so we've known each other.
Well, all the committed posts, maybe that. Well, no, but I mean, Johan Furnham, the tackle from Swansea. Okay, possibly he's South Wales as well. Possibly he's not on a full scholarship or whatever. But he's going. There are players that obviously have gone to Brunel for things possibly other than scholarship. I don't know. I'm guessing.
In the past, the days where I was there,
Cole McFarlane, Cleve Webb as well.
Yeah, Christian Jelinski. I'm sure there might be another one. I might be completely wrong on this, but
John Simmons. I mean, I don't know if these guys are playing or not. Like I said, I wasn't at the game.
Yeah, I mean, in the past, Brunel used to get guys that come in they just happened to be American, right? Some guy has done his degree or whatever, wants to come over for his masters, and he just happens to be an American guy, not a football player, just happens to be an American guy. Like we had a quarterback before who used to be, I believe, a swimmer or diver. Hadn't played American football since obviously high school. Comes into our team. He's a tight end, and then our quarterback that year was actually back from placement and wasn't particularly good. We had a run strong offense that year. And one of our coaches, head coach that year, approached him and just said, "Mate, do you want to play quarterback?" He was like, "Not really, but I guess we got no one else to play, so yeah." And it went from then to we got another guy who came from lacrosse, who just happens to be half American.
Yeah,
Who was
yeah.
Spain, you know, and then the next guy who comes in is obviously Christian, who again has come from Cali. So
yeah, we had no, that makes sense. We had the same at UE where we had people that played other sports, basketball and lacrosse, who came over to play for us. SJ just said there as well. London is a huge sell. Absolutely, no doubt that plays a part as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
not many
Yuri would
Americans
be
are coming to Cardiff.
Yuri's a big sell in terms of, you know, it's obviously everyone knows it's the top team in the UK. People in America know that, and of course, I'm sure at least some people in America know about the Bristol Aztecs. Given obviously there's some overlap between players. Now, if the same thing was to happen with Brunel, you know, if they were to get promoted to the national prem and become a mainstay, you know, it was to be, let's say, a big four of UE, Notts, Durham, and Brunel plus whoever else. I do think there's the potential with, you know, another European team eventually coming to London that some of these guys can come over, play, and then obviously stick around and play in this league as well. Again, I'm not saying this is going to happen. I don't know anything that you don't know, for example. But it's just a hypothetical, you know. Guys will come to London, like SJ said, it's a big sell. Guys will come to London to know that Brunel is the top team in London as well. Is part of it, you know. We've been there, even though we weren't in the Prem for years and years and years. Having the top team in London be in Division 1 was just such a. It was blasphemous to a point where, you know, you can't have a big city which is overwhelmingly more populated than anywhere else in the country and not have a top team from the capital. It just didn't make sense to me, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a big pool. There's definitely a lot of attraction for Brunel's perspective and Bristol as a whole as well. You know, that whole region from, I think, Bristol, South Wales, it's all quite close-ish together.
Yeah.
In the sense that, you know, you've got guys from Cardiff that can go to UE. You've got guys from Bristol that can go and play for Cardiff Cobras, South Wales Warriors, etc., etc. You know, there's a bit of overlap, and that part of the country is just generally talented with just athletes and guys who know how to tackle.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move on. Also, just want to say, was not trying to say that Brunel aren't a good team by any stretch of the imagination. Clearly, very talented team, lots of different weapons at wide receiver as well. And you know what? Hope to see them in the playoffs sometime. I'm sure it will be a good contest as we try and win the third one if we get there. Okay, let's have a look at the fixtures going ahead for next week. Just the one game in the Prem South. Exeter Demons hosting the SGS Pride. Kwame, what are you thinking ahead of this one?
I'll say the Pride on a high from their last win, a big win. Give me the Pride again. Somebody beat was it Portsmouth that beat Exeter recently?
Yeah, Portsmouth beat Cardiff. We beat Exeter last week.
Cardiff beat Exeter. Cardiff also beat Portsmouth. Cardiff had a tight game against SGS. Tight game against Brunel. I do think SGS will have what it takes to overcome Exeter. I haven't seen much of Exeter this season. I'm not trying to say that they're a bad team. Again, nobody in the Prem South is a bad team. Nobody in the National Prem is a bad team. Even though Leeds Beckett and Loughborough are getting absolutely battered, they are not a bad team because I still think if they were in the Prem North, they'd be up there, unbeaten or looking at the playoffs or whatever. So the 3 Prem divisions, there's no bad teams in there, in my opinion. Even Leeds, you know, they're struggling, but I still think they'd be better than most, if not all, Div 1 teams. But you have to look at everything relatively. Within the division, of course, right now they're cannon fodder, right? So, and that's how I'm starting to see Exeter a little bit as well. Not really because of anything in particular. I just haven't seen them play enough. I think they've only played a couple of games, and I've not seen them on live stream. So I've seen all the other teams play, and I just haven't seen Exeter play yet. So I can't really say too much about them. But from what I've seen and heard from SGS, I do think they have what it takes to get over the line.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it will be. I think it will be a win for the SGS as well in this one. Okay, let's go down to Division 1 now. 50 minutes in, it's taken us a while, but we were having good fun talking. Edinburgh Mavericks were playing off against Stirling. Big game, really, for in the Scottish Division 1. Let's just have a look at the table. Obviously, Napier and Aberdeen was given a home walkover to Edinburgh Napier Knights. Think this is because Aberdeen weren't able to fill a team. Possibly that's what it looked like, and possibly why the walkover was awarded to Napier Knights. Shame they weren't able to get on the field. And I'm not sure if Adam actually managed to field a team yet for a game. Let me have a look. No, we've had 2 walkovers and a 1-0. So possibly 3 walkovers in that one. So
is that 3 walkover losses, or do they have any walkover wins?
No, all losses. So I'm hoping. Well, one was given as a 1-0 win, and the other 2 were home walkovers. So I'm hoping, shout out to Aberdeen. Hopefully they can get players and manage to get a team on the field for the rest of the season, because no one wants to see it not being played and stuff. And a lot of the guys, I'm sure, that are at training and practicing, they want to get on the field as well. So hopefully Aberdeen can do well going forward. Let's have a look at the. Let's talk about the Edinburgh Mavericks Stirling game. You took Stirling in this one. They managed to win 34-32 in the end. I saw, actually, I'm not sure if you saw this, Kwame, but apparently they were kicked off the field with like 2 minutes still to play of the game because of a pitch booking or something, where they weren't able to finish the game. Does it get more Britball than that?
My goodness, honestly, I've never heard of that happening, right? And quite frankly, I think the referee should have just told the booking to fuck off. With all due respect, right? We've got a game to finish. You can't just. What are they supposed to do? Just abandon it? I mean, okay, this happened in America not too long ago, right? There was a game that happened, and they got to quite literally, I want to say, the last play of the game, or like 2 minutes left in the game, and the floodlights have gone out. Like, the generators completely packed it, so there's no way to get any light, and they're sitting around for ages. And they've then decided, right, what we're going to do is we're going to pack everything up and drive 15 miles up the road or whatever it was, right? So both teams obviously packed up, hopped on the coach, and driven up the road to the next. I think it was to the team that was away. They've gone to their home stadium, which, first of all, it was an absolute shithole, and second of all the fans gone. Thirdly, I mean, at this point it's pitch black, probably middle of the night, and they've obviously gone there, set everything up to play one drive of football and finish. That was it, and it was the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. I would never expect anyone in Uniball to do that. There's not enough funding to do that, unless they could have switched to like half field to finish the game off, or something stupid along those lines. I genuinely don't know. I think they really should have just, if there's 2 minutes left in the game, finish the game and tell whoever's waiting for their booking to just firm it and just wait. Because, if they had a half to play, you can understand. Cut the game, do whatever. But 2 minutes, just finish the damn game.
Yeah, and it looks like it was, frustrating as well for frustrating really for both teams not be able to finish that. But it does put Stirling third in the table now, going 2-1. Edinburgh Mavericks are now 2-3 after playing 5. So they've played the most games. Yeah, most games in the division. Let's have a look at the fixtures going ahead to next week. So we've got Glasgow Tigers against Aberdeen Bulls. I mean, if this game gets played, you'd be thinking Glasgow, would you, Kwame?
Yeah, just simply because it just doesn't look good for Aberdeen right now. It just looks like everything's going bad to worse. Um,
Yeah, it's a tough position to
just,
be in.
yeah, I
Um,
can't really say much if you haven't played a game. I don't know what your players are like or anything. But if you can't get a team
yeah.
together, I feel like when you finally do get a team together, you're only just about getting a team together. You know,
Yeah.
unless they've got numbers and numbers and numbers, and they just happen to have no offensive. Okay, you couldn't even say that because you've got guys who can deputize the O line. You've got guys who are big enough D line linebackers just shove them at O line and tell them what to do. So I genuinely think it's a numbers game, and if it is a numbers game, then I don't see them
Yeah,
being
it's
able to
not
put up
looking
a
good.
fight when they do get a team together.
No. And it comes down to position of safety as that, doesn't it? So you're taking Glasgow in that one?
Yeah, I think again, I don't even know how good Glasgow are, but I just think anyone up against a team who hasn't been able to get a team together for
Yeah.
five,
Well,
6 weeks of the season.
to be fair to Glasgow, they're 3-1. They're second division. So yeah, they're a strong team, and so you would expect if the game does get played for them to get over the line. Other game in that division is Stirling are at home to Edinburgh Napier Knights, who have so far absolutely blown the division away. 131 points scored, only points conceded in 4 games, and I think one of that was a safety. So confident Edinburgh can get the win here over Stirling.
So you got my mind frozen for a second because you said 6 points conceded and one was a safety.
No, I'm talking rubbish, aren't I? Sorry. I know that someone had a safety against them in this division. I can't remember who it was.
Unless there were 3 safeties and
No, it was. Yeah, I mean that would be a shock. No, ignore me. I'm talking rubbish. But yeah, Napier Knights, 6 points all season, going up against Stirling, who obviously had a good win this week, getting over the line against Mavericks. Who are you taking in this one?
I'll go with Edinburgh. Even though, yeah, I mean, it's not a
Yeah,
long journey, I don't think, but just the fact that Edinburgh have been absolutely cakewalk in the division, I feel
yeah,
like I feel like they'll have this one as well.
yeah. Nice. Okay. I'll
There we are.
take.
Comments are back. I
Yeah,
can see comments now.
I'll take Edinburgh as well. Okay. Let's now go down. So we had Lancashire Rams against Liverpool Raptors. Lancashire, who have been doing what Napier Knights have been doing, absolutely, as you put it, cake walking the league. 180 points scored in 5 games and 0 points conceded. So Lancashire with 5 shutouts in a row.
It
Smashing
must be.
performance.
It
Smashing
must be the
performance
Money
over
Titans
Liverpool.
guys. Surely it must be the Money Titans guys who are over there. I don't know any of their players personally, other than just by maybe name on social media. I've seen a few guys around, and I've heard that a few coaches are there coaching at the Lancashire Rams. But they're another team that I feel like I want to watch them play. I would like to watch them play to see how they can get on, to see how they get along, to see what their offense looks like, to see what they look like in just a generic game, like not particularly a massive performance or a bad one, just standard game against an average team. I want to see how they play.
Yeah.
I just want
Um,
more streaming as a whole in this sport. More people need to broadcast their games.
yeah, for sure. I mean, we both took the Rams in this one, which ended up being the correct decision. There was another game going on in this division as well, the Manchester Derby, Manchester Tyrants against MMU Eagles. I took the Tyrants in this one. You took the Eagles. Tyrants took it 20-0 in the end. They now go to 3-1. Man
That's
Met
my
go
worst
to
prediction so far.
Man Met go to 2 and 3. Shall we have a quick look over the fixtures ahead of next week? So Manchester Tyrants back playing again against Edgehill Vikings, looking to capitalise on that good win in the derby. Edgehill struggled so far this season, 0 and 3. Who's your money on, Kwame?
Not Edge Hill.
No,
just not Edge Hill.
no, they haven't scored an offensive point yet this year.
Whoever they're playing against, they can play against the Teletubbies. I wouldn't predict. Honestly,
Wow, that's getting clipped. They
yeah, I
could be
just know I'm
playing
going
the
to be featured on like
Teletubbies. I wouldn't be picking
meme
them.
pages and all
Okay.
sorts for the next couple of months after saying that.
Yeah, you're not welcome in Manchester anytime soon.
Oh, crazy, man! I heard Manchester's pretty good for the nightlife, but keep my hand over my drink from now on like that.
All right, let's have a look at the other divisions going on. Let's go over to the Midlands and Yorkshire division. Nottingham Green continuing their fine form, going to 4-0 with a 34-7 win over the Sheffield Sabres, who are currently the second best team in the division, the Sabres, with a record of 3-2. Obviously, yeah, I mean their two losses have come against who have they lost to? So they lost to Nottingham and they lost to Sheffield Hallam 50-0 as well. So yeah, I mean Hallam are in third as well, but they've only played 3 games, and the only game that Hallam lost was to Nottingham Trent. So sorry, Nottingham Green, not Nottingham Trent. Yeah, strong win for the Green. They keep on rolling.
Just seen you. Yeah, the Green are doing well. It's starting to make me think, they're not just an afterthought. A lot of the time it's easy to think that the B teams are just an afterthought, whether it's Green, Bullets 2s, or even in Britball, Blitz B. Who else is the B team? I know there's another couple of B teams as well, but Bristol, yeah. It's easy for people to think they're an afterthought, but Green are doing well this season, and I'm impressed.
Nice. Let's have a look at the other games. So Sheffield Hallam, who we just mentioned, against Leicester Longhorns. Leicester having a struggling season, 0-5. Hallam go to 2-1. Hallam possibly team to watch out for on the up a bit.
Yeah, I think I was always sort of looking at Hallam because I remember even when I was at Brunel my last few years, Hallam were there and about. They were just there and about in the conversation all the time. People always looked at it, oh, Hallam's good, Hallam's going to be in the playoffs, Hallam's here, and they were similar to us. They just couldn't quite get it done. But I think this year they're doing, I'm not going to sit there and say, yeah, this is their year or anything, but they're in the conversation as always, and no surprises so far, no disappointments or shocks, I suppose say.
Yeah, and we have got 2 games next week in the Midlands and Yorkshire division. So Derby Braves are at home to Sheffield Sabres. Derby are 1-2, didn't play this week. Who have you got in this one, Kwame?
Be a tough one. I think Sheffield might take this one. Did you say Sheffield are home to Derby?
Sheffield are away to Derby.
Sheffield are away, and their records are.
So Derby are 1-2. Sheffield are 3-2.
I do think Sheffield will go there and win this one.
Yeah, I'm going to take Sheffield as well.
Good wins this season already.
Yeah, I'm going to do this one. And then in the other fixture, it's Tottenham, Nottingham Green against Leicester Longhorns. Nottingham hosting. Who's your money on in this one?
Nottingham Green, I think, will win it comfortably. Top against bottom at home. It's not going to. It'll take a miracle for Leicester to win, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
A bigger miracle than Leicester winning the Premier League, probably, but yeah, big miracle.
Well, hopefully Leicester can manage to get some points on the board. Okay, let's go down to the Southwestern Division now. 2 games in this division as well. Plymouth Blitz 7, Bath Killer Bees 12. We both took in this one. Maybe a bit closer than people would have expected, might you say, Kwame?
Yeah, I mean, I had a feeling Bath after the previous week. I think it was when they beat Southampton. That sort of woke me up to Bath. I was like, maybe they're not so bad. But Plymouth, I've never really looked at Plymouth and thought, they're a tough team in Div 1. They've always been a Div 1 and 2 yo-yo team to my memory. Again, someone please correct me if I'm wrong. But really interesting there. They've managed to put up a good fight.
Yeah, and to be fair to Plymouth, they managed to keep them to just the two scores, and Plymouth go to 0-4, Bath go to 2-2. Second in the division now because of Bobcats' points deduction that they had. Let's move on to the other game in the division. It was Bristol Barracuda against Southampton Stags. This is always a good game between Cuda and Stags. It was streamed by our friends over at Depth Chart Sports. Cuda 19, Stags 6. We both took Cuda in this one, and Cuda go to top of the table. They're rolling now.
Yeah, I'm really not surprised. I don't think I'm surprised at all with that, really. Cuda are doing well. You know, last year in the playoffs was a massive loss for them. And obviously would have taken that and said, right, well, they're going to fucking do that again. Let's go out and win all our games. And so far, they're doing all right. So, you know,
haven't been scoring a lot of points is the only thing I would say with Barracuda. In their 5 games, they've averaged 9.5 points a game. So they've only scored 48 offensive points in 5 games so far. So something to be a little bit worried of going into the week.
Maybe a tiny bit of a concern, but again, if their defense is helping them get the job done, it's not that much of an issue. If you have a shit offense and a suffocating defense, you just know that you can put 1 or 2 scores up on offense and get the job done and go home 14-0. You need the more porous your defense is, you just need a better offense. You need to be able to trust your guys, and if you can trust your defense, I don't think they'll be complaining too much about their offense, but they will be looking to improve it. Especially
definitely. And in those 2 games against the Stags, they only conceded 6 points total. So not bad at all for Bristol Barracuda. Let's have a look at the fixtures going ahead for next week then. So Bristol Barracuda host the Bath Killer Bees. Who are you backing in this one? Cuda are currently 3-2, Bath are 2-2.
I really want to back. I really want a high-scoring game, but based on what we've just said about Barracuda, I don't think it will be a high-scoring game. But I do think Barracuda will ever so slightly edge it, probably suffocate Killer Bees. It'll be a low-scoring game, but I think they'll win it by a score, maybe half a score.
Yeah, I'm with you on this one as well. I think it'll be a close game, under a 1-score game for me. I'm going to take Cuda as well, Bristol Barracuda in that one over the Killer Bees. The other game in the division is Southampton Stags hosting the Bournemouth Bobcats. Who's your money on here, Kwame?
Bobcats for me. I've not seen anything over the past probably 3 years of watching or being aware of the Bobcats. I've not seen anything over the past few years that will convince me otherwise. I think they'll win every regular season game, and quite frankly, I think they'll win a couple of playoff. Again, it depends on who they're up against and whatnot, but I do think they'll be in the conversation for going up. I think the regular season is just a formality for them.
Yeah, and obviously fighting against that point deduction as well. I mean, where they currently are, they're going to play 8 games. They're on 3 points, should be on 10. Even if they get to second, you'd still be confident about them coming through the playoffs against a higher seed in one of the other Division 1 divisions. Okay, let's go on to now. Ooh, what do we have? We have the Southern Tier. Yeah, Southern Tier Division 1, where we had... Hold on 1 second.
This is a division I love and hate at the same time.
Yeah.
One division that I've got time for this division, but it pisses me off as well.
Birmingham Lions hosted the Hertfordshire Hurricanes in what a few years ago would have been a massive tie. And unfortunately, we both took Birmingham this one. Birmingham lost 35-0 at home. So, I mean, Hertfordshire... It's the same in this division as well. Everyone's lost a game in this division. Hertfordshire lost to Birmingham in that first game by 1 point, and they blew them out the water in the second game by 35 points. How can you can you sort of understand what has gone on there, Kwame?
One or two things, or potentially both, right? So either Hertfordshire have gone away and said we are going to absolutely game plan the fuck out of Birmingham and stop them on absolutely everything, and they've been studying that for weeks and just forgetting about all the other games, right? Maybe not forgetting about them, but either that or Birmingham won that game, got super complacent. They're like, yeah, we've just come down, we're going to go straight back up. It's going to be a cakewalk. We're going to beat them. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. Celebrating like, yeah, we've got this, and got their asses handed to them. It's happened to a few teams. It happened to us before I was a member of us. You know. So yeah, I mean, I'm surprised. I do think it's probably more so the latter. But props to Hertfordshire for not just getting that job done, but really shutting them up. But Birmingham, big questions. Big questions, because I would have predicted before season Birmingham would be one of the favourites and one of the guys where, if, as we were talking about Bournemouth a minute ago, I feel like if Bournemouth had to go to Birmingham, it would be a tough game. But now looking at Hertfordshire have gone there and set up a running clock and had their way with Birmingham. I'm now looking at it like, maybe it's not going to be so much of a challenge for Bournemouth if they had to go up there. So big surprise, big disappointment for Birmingham. If I was the head coach, their whole team would be running laps, and I'd be joining them.
Well, I mean, Birmingham go to 2-2 now. Questions got to be asked in the sort of in the Birmingham camp about how they're going to manage to turn around this season. And I mean, they've still won 2 games, and one of them was against Hertfordshire, so they've shown they are capable of dealing with the big teams the good teams in the division. But they lost to OBU, they lost to Hertfordshire now. That return fixture against Oxford Brookes is going to be a big fixture going forward. Let's have a look when it is.
I think Birmingham's going to have to win out.
It's next week. So big game next week for Birmingham. Let's have a look at it now. Actually, we'll start off with the first game, which is Hertfordshire Hurricanes at home to the UEA Pirates. UEA not playing this week. Tough season so far for the Pirates. They are slap bang at the bottom of the table, 1 and 3.
Slap bang in the middle doesn't. Slap bang at the bottom just doesn't hit the same way.
Slap bang at the bottom. Who are you taking in this one, Kwame?
I will take Oxford Brookes in this one.
Oxford Brookes aren't playing in this one, so that's brave. It's Hertfordshire Hurricanes against UEA Pirates.
Yeah, my mistake. I don't know why I was thinking of Oxford Brookes. Hertfordshire Hurricanes will take that comfortably after last week and against the whipping boys of the division, as arguably, they'll take that. UEA beat Oxford Lancers 26-18. I think that might be the Gary's just said UEA beat Oxford Lancers 26-18. I think that might be the battle to survive the return fixture potentially. But I think Birmingham, Hertfordshire, and Oxford Brookes are all looking at the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean both teams. Oxford Lancers are 1 and 3. Quite similar scoring records as well. UEA are 1 and 3. Both have conceded over 100 points in the game, so tightening up on defense probably a key for both teams down at the lower depths of the Southern Tier 1. Let's have a look at the other game in the division. Oxford Brookes at home to Birmingham Lions. Who's your money on in this one, Kwame? Big game for Birmingham.
Oxford Brookes against Birmingham Lions. And the Oxford
Brooks. It's obviously it's Explosion. It's the return leg of Explosion, where Oxford Brookes won 6-0 in Explosion.
See, I really would say that Oxford Brookes would win this one again, but how Birmingham. Do you know what? Give me Oxford Brookes. Because the previous game kind of annoyed me. Birmingham winning and then losing 35-0 to Hertfordshire. That surprised me. I didn't expect them to lose, let alone lose by that score. Now I don't think they're gonna turn around and go beat Oxford Brookes who beat them. I don't think they'll turn around and go to Oxford and win. Based on that, I do think Oxford will nick it.
Okay. Yeah, I think Difficult one. I'm
And
going to take.
Gary just confirms the return's already happened. So Lancers and UEA have played each other twice already. So they've both got a win against each other.
Right. Okay.
And then they've both
So
got two losses against someone else.
Okay, so it's basically how they do in the other fixtures then, and points against could be the deciding factor. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Gary, but I think that we finished bottom a few years ago on points conceded. UEA have currently conceded 108. Oxford Lancers have conceded 100. So those points against going into those next few fixtures could be really important, and might be the deciding factor on who stays in the division, who makes it into the playoffs.
I think it could well be a case of whoever keeps their heads, because it's easy to say whoever, when a team starts to drop their heads, the other team just racks up the score,
Yeah.
So even if you're losing 40, 50-0, for both of these guys, it's a case of keep your heads in the game, because you might get a late score that changes the trajectory of your season and the future of your club. So
Yeah,
nail
thanks for
biting
the.
moments. It's tight moments.
It is indeed. Thanks for the contribution there, Gary. Birmingham. Yeah, I'm going to take Oxford Brooks as well going into that one. I just think that after the short week for Birmingham, Oxford obviously having a bye week, didn't play last week. I think that's going to be a really key fixture, and I think Oxford Brooks might just nick it. Yeah. Okay, let's have a look at Kent versus KCL. Now,
Good timing, because
yeah,
Ollie's asked his thoughts about it. He did ask a few minutes ago, and I was sitting there like, we'll get to it. Just wait. Just calm yourself down. But here we are, Kent versus
yeah,
KCL.
yeah. Kent top of the division going into this one. 1-3, lost 1, and the result in the end 7-7. KCL concedes their first points of the season as well. Two. I mean, I personally, for me in this division, there are 3 teams that are really strong, and it's anyone's really going into the rest of the season. I know that KCL haven't lost a game yet. That draw keeping them in the mix. Kent are 3-1-1. Brighton are 3-1. KCL are 2-0-1. It's a tight division. Not many points being conceded against by those top 3 teams as well. Kent have only conceded 19 points in 5 games so far. Brighton have only conceded 24, and like I said before, KCL have only conceded 7 in their 2 games. So some really close, sort of low-scoring games between each of the teams. We both picked Kent in this one. KCL have properly shut us up there.
You get half a point for that because it was a tie. Because if we could,
no, we're not giving points out. If you want to predict a tie, you've got to go all out. But yeah, let's have some really exciting games next week as well in the Southeastern 1 division, because KCL are playing again. They're at home this week against Brighton Panthers.
Ooh.
What are your thoughts going into that one, Kwame?
It'd be a tough one. It'd be a tough one for Brighton. Whatever happens, it'd be a tough one.
Who are you going to pick?
Stuff from KCL, but
Give me Brighton.
Give me Brighton.
That's good, because I'm going to take KCL. 7 points in
Finally
3 games conceded. They've scored 73 points in 3 games. I'm taking KCL in this one. And
they probably will. They probably will get the win. But I've been back in Brighton for a while, and I don't want to suddenly just change my mind, because I think after the first game or so, I was like, yeah, Brighton will have this division. So I'm just going to stick to my gut until. If Brighton lose this game, I probably won't predict them again for the season, right? But we have to pick, and I'm going to go with Brighton for a potential upset.
Oh, nice. So Ollie there just saying KCL scored their touchdown early in the game, and then Kent got theirs in the last minute. Wow. Wow. That is and that's one of the things when you go up early, and then you concede late, that'll feel like a loss a lot more than than Kent, who I guarantee it will come off feeling like a win, even though they didn't manage to. What do you think about? Okay, let's ask the question since Ollie's made that point. What do you think about the fact that Kent didn't go for two in that final after they scored?
It's in the last minute.
Because what a draw?
I'm
You
really
know that
asking.
we
My
know
main
there's no
thing.
we know there's no overtime. So
Mhm.
you're playing, you know that it's a draw. Ollie, are you Kent? Oh no, devastating for us. So he's a KCL player.
He'd have been King's College, wouldn't he?
Yeah,
Player or coach or member of staff or somewhere.
if there are any Kent guys watching, did you want to go for two? Because I just think that that you know what, they're probably thinking long term that we could be on a par with Kent or on the par with Brighton, and this will be like an important result that tips us over the line if Kent lose to Brighton or whatever. Sorry, if KCL lose to Brighton. So
It is a toss up.
I'm
I
I'm
think,
not
in my opinion, it
criticizing.
also depends on your run game. If your short yardage game is very good and it's impossible to stop, and you've been driving up the field with those short yards, go for it, right? But if you have an offense with options that can get things done, yeah, sure. I think because it was 7-7 and not, say, 27-28, if it was like that, or 34-35 or something like that, right at the end, and it's go for two to win, I think you give yourself more, you have more confidence. But only getting one touchdown right at the end of the game is a toss up, because do you really want to? I've played in games where the other team tied it up late in the game, went for two, didn't get it, and lost by a point.
Yeah,
Our defense was quality the whole game, and the last drive they did really well to get that touchdown. I reckon they didn't want to throw away an easy 1 point.
yeah.
Absolutely, I think it's very
That
easy
makes
to.
that makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah,
It's just, I guess, and also when you've worked that hard to get 6 points to then lose at the end. Yeah, I'm just asking the questions. Thanks, Ollie, for that contribution. Yeah, defense, big strong game for both defenses there, 7-7. Fair play, fair play. Exciting to see how the rest of that division shapes up for the rest of the season.
I would love to see the turnover battle. Who won turnover battle and stuff? We don't have all those stats, but I would love to see who had won the turnover battle for that game. That gives us a bit more context.
Yeah, let's have a look at the other game in the division. So we had UCL against Kingston. Kingston Cougars at the bottom. UCL managed to get the win over the line, 21-16, scoring their first points of the season, either team. So
Yeah, I remember us saying that UCL have let in a lot more than Kingston. So didn't we both go for Kingston because of that? Because it was like,
yeah, so basically, UCL's defense going into this game had conceded over 120 points. Over 100, no, they UCL had conceded 132 points going into this game. So we were like, there's no way that UCL are losing
we
to
were
Kingston.
we were rubbing our hands together like Kingston's got this, yeah. And
Kingston's got this. Enter UCL, who managed to score their first points of the season and get it over the line.
Emperor's New
Kingston,
Groove.
yeah, Kingston also scoring their first points of the season, I believe, as well in that one. So UCL go to 1-3, and Kingston go to 0-4. And guess what? They're playing each other next week as well.
Oh,
Don't you love it? Don't you love it when this happens? So
I feel like it would
Kingston
be another.
Cougars, Kingston
I don't
Cougars
even
at
want to predict.
home to UCL. Only
I don't
five
even want
points
to
in it.
predict this game anymore. I don't even want to predict.
You've
I
got
don't
to.
want to. Can both teams lose?
You've got to. Who are you
No,
taking in this
I'll
one?
take UCL on this one because of how I've been to both of these teams' grounds. They're both just as bad as each other. Unless they've changed, their surfaces will be the same. It'll be the same kind of game. I feel like UCL will probably, they've got Kingston's number. If Kingston had that, if UCL on paper were that much worse than Kingston, both teams are winless. But if they were that much worse on paper in terms of defense, and they managed to do that to Kingston, I think they've got them again. Genuinely,
Okay.
just
Well,
don't get complacent.
I'm gonna stick with the Cougars. I'm gonna stick with Kingston on this one. I'm gonna die on my sword if I'm gonna die. So I'm gonna die on my sword in this one. Now we go over.
That's my.
No, okay. Let's have a look at. Did we predict? We haven't predicted the other game. KCL against Brighton Panthers.
I said
KCL.
Brighton, didn't I? I said Brighton.
Yeah, you said Brighton. I said King's College. Okay, yeah. So we have predicted that one. Okay,
Split on this one.
let's have a look at the other division. Sorry, let's go over to Div 2 now and look at our favourite division in the entirety of football, which is the Northeastern 2 division, where we are still without a win going into week 8.
I mean, it's just technically,
Hey,
would it
no
be
one
wrong to
wants to
call
win
it
a
Div
game.
2 Thailand? Because
We laugh about this every week now, but it's becoming York. So it was the York Derby this week. I said that I was going to send my dad to go and watch the game. Right, it was postponed. So
oh man,
I assumed maybe
oh
waterlogged
man.
pitch or whatever. York were at home. YSJ were away. The York Derby. So yeah, no games got played, and another week without a win in the Northeastern 2 division.
Any more games that happen, I will just predict walkovers and postponements at this rate.
Yeah, well, you predicted a tie in this one, which I completely understand. I predicted YSJ because they haven't played a game yet this year, but they do play next week. They play next week at home to the Sunderland Spartans. So Sunderland are 0-1. YSJ still haven't played a game yet in week 8. So Kwame, who is your money on in this game?
Neither team.
You're going for a tie.
I'll go for a tie.
Okay.
When they finally play, it will just be ties in the whole division, I reckon. Until somebody wins, I'm not predicting anyone. Somebody's got to show me something.
We need to have a 0-0 at some point this year. We're going to get a 0-0, and you never know, it might be this week. I'm going to take.
Can I predict a postponement?
No, I don't think that's possible. I'm gonna stick with YSJ. I'm gonna go York St John, and hope that the game gets played and that someone please. Actually, do we want to win now, or do we just want to go through the draws? We just want ties for the whole time.
Part of me kind of just wants this whole division to just end in draws and cancellations. Just draws and void games, just to see what would happen for the playoffs.
Yeah. How on earth do they work it out if everyone's drawn? Okay.
I think it'll be the same as going 4-4 because it's splitting all your games, isn't it? If every team goes 4-4.
Yeah.
I mean, what was saying, but there would be no tiebreakers or anything because every team is tied against everyone. So you can't say, well, these lot scored more against these lot or whatever. It's like, you know.
Yeah. Okay, let's have a look at the Northwestern Division 2. We haven't actually spoke about this one last week because I forgot about you. So I apologise that would like to shout out apology to Salford and apology to Lancaster. Sorry, we forgot about you and we didn't predict. But I'm sure if we would have predicted a 38-0 win for Lancaster because that's how it went in the end.
Yeah.
Lancaster.
Arsenal a brand new team as well. I never really have much confidence with brand new teams, to be fair. More just get the job done. Just get your season through. Play your season. If you can play all your games, great. Then we can start looking at next season. But if a new team gets a win, great, fantastic.
Yeah. Liverpool, John Moores, I think that teams are only playing. I don't know what is going on with this division, but Liverpool, John Moores haven't played a game yet, but they are playing their first game this week against the Kiel Crusaders. Kiel are 0-1. They lost 30-8 in their first game against Salford. Who's your money on for this one, Kwame?
Is Kiel against who, sorry?
Liverpool, John Moore. LGMU, Fury.
Give me Kiel.
Yeah, I'm going to take Liverpool John Moore going into this one, only because they haven't played a game yet, and hopefully they are ready to go. In the other fixture, not in the other fixture, actually. Let's have a look at the division. I think it's the Midlands Tier 2, I believe. So Wi-Fi's playing up. It's okay. So it was DMU against Anglia Ruskin. DMU 20, Anglia Ruskin 19. Anglia Ruskin were 3-0 going into this one, get their first loss of the season, a 1-point loss to DMU. We both picked Anglia Ruskin. Bit of a shock this one for DMU, who were 0-2 going into this one and had only scored 6 points. Fair play. Shout out DMU, De Montfort Uni, for getting this win over the line. Big result. A big shock in the Midlands Tier 2. Fixtures going ahead for next week. DMU are on the road again. They're playing against Lincoln. Lincoln are 0-2. Who are you taking in this one, Kwame?
I'm on that DMU bounce. DMU win bounce. I think they are. I don't know. You know, I'm surprised.
I mean, that win will just spread massive loads of confidence into that team. So yeah, I'm going to stick with DMU as well.
I don't know how they'll do, but I think they'll definitely have a lot of confidence, and then they'll be brimming with confidence and ready to play, wanting to get another win. Yeah, I'll go with them.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, let's go down and look at the Southwestern Division 2. So we had just the one game over the weekend, and it was Worcester against Gloucester. First of all, I just want to say on behalf of, actually, yeah, I'll say on behalf of Sport Tank myself and Kwame, I'm sure you'll echo this.
Yes.
Very sad about the loss of one of the Gloucestershire Gladiators players, Tom, over the past week. All our thoughts and love go out to the Gloucestershire Gladiators, and yeah, terrible news whenever, especially when someone in the community that, we're an insular community and people, a lot of volunteers and people sort of looking out for each other and that. So, yeah, really, really sorry to hear of the loss of Tom, and love to the friends and family of him and all at the Gloucestershire Gladiators. Kwame, you want to echo that? Or?
Yeah. Again, I saw the news. First thought was immediate heartbreak. I can't say I knew the guy personally, but I definitely feel for the team. I know players who have lost teammates, and I know teams who have lost players. And I know it's not easy. It is tough. Even a squad is big. It's no matter who the player is, whether they're a starter and the best player in the team or new guy who's just turned up, just learned to play the sport and is bottom of the depth chart. It is felt by everyone, particularly at uni teams, because uni teams are just much tighter. The community is much more close knit. So my thoughts and prayers go out to everyone who's affected. The whole Worcester team, Tom's family as well, friends, everyone involved, coaches, even the Gloucester guys having to play. Obviously, it really affecting them as well, going through a minute's silence, and obviously playing against guys who are playing with that either heartbreak and or chip on their shoulder to try and sort of represent their fallen teammate. So big tough moment, and obviously my thoughts and prayers go out to them. Obviously, it's a tough situation to be in, but I really do hope that the rest of their season they can continue to perform and just represent Tom, and just really show out for him. I'm sure he'll be watching down on you guys, supporting you guys. So again, best wishes, deepest condolences and best wishes to Worcester.
Yeah. Love to Worcester, and they managed to put up a strong performance as well. In honour, I'm sure, of their teammate. 14-4 against Gloucestershire Gladiators, Worcester Royals. It was the first game this season they haven't lost, Worcester, so they were going into this game. And Gloucestershire were 1-1, so Worcester managed to come away with a draw, 14-all. And we can have a look at the fixtures for next week as well in that division. Week 8. Sorry, it takes a while to scroll down. Southwestern Division. So we've got Aberystwyth Taranal against Bath Spa Bulldogs in that league. Bath Spa are currently joint bottom with Aberystwyth. Both teams are 0-1. Neither teams have conceded a point yet. Both have conceded 50 and 54 respectively. Who are you going for in this one, Kwame?
It's always tough when you have two winless teams. I'll go with whoever's at home.
Okay, so at home is Aberystwyth. So you're going with Aberystwyth as Bath Spa go over to the
Yeah,
west coast of Wales for that one.
I feel like
Then
that's
we
another
also,
long journey. Yeah, I'll go with Aberystwyth.
yeah. Okay, let's have a look at the Southern Division now. Southern Division 2, where Reading Knights uh, are in. So we had just the. Did we have a game this week? Don't think we did actually. No games this week in the Southern Division 2, but we do have a fixture going into next week. Reading Knights, who are top of the table, 2-0, are going against the Solent Red Hawks, who are 0-2. Kwame, got friends over the Red Hawks, but who are you taking in this one?
Taking the Red and Knights simply because the balance of energy from what I've seen, Red and Knights are quite precisely. I think I said this about someone else as well. I said about Plymouth as well. Plymouth Red, and I thought they're both. I want to say perfect examples, but perfect example of a yo-yo team who's absolutely fantastic in Div 2. Come up to Div 1, they might survive a year and go straight back down. Redden are right now the standard of Div 2. If you want to be in Div 1, you have to be able to beat Redden. That's
Yeah.
quite frankly where they're at. That is the benchmark for where we are at. And Solent right now, I've been saying for Solent, just compete, get some drives together, put some scores on the board. I'm not even expecting them to win any games this season. My expectations have been completely adjusted for them. It's nothing against them, players, coaches, and all that. I've got friends who are coaching for them. I've got friends, people I know quite well who are playing for them as well. But just from what I've seen, heard around the team, and there's been so much change and stuff. And still, they're going through a massive transition phase. I don't know. They might get a win this season, but it won't come against Reading. It won't come against the best team in the division way.
Yeah, I'm going to take Reading as well going into this one. Let's go over to our final division. It's where we always finish off. It's Southeastern Tier 2. So we had two games this week. Essex Blades were up against QMBL, Queen Mary, Essex 6, QMBL 34. I took Essex in this one. You took QMBL, and QMBL came out on top. They go to 2-1 in the division. Essex, unfortunately, go to 0-3. And the other game that we looked at was Imperial. Imperial won 12-0 against Greenwich. I took Imperial. You took Greenwich in this one. Imperial now go to 3-0. And Greenwich go to 0-2-1. So
Interesting.
still close division. Lots of low scoring games in this division, as a lot of the times you would expect really in the sort of in the lower tiers, but still Imperial managing to get the win over the line. Two games next week. We've got City Wolfpack against QMBL Vipers. City are 1-0-1, so unbeaten so far. And QMBL are 2-1. Who are you taking in this one, Kwame?
I think Queen Mary are on a bounce right now after that big win. I'll take them. I'm intrigued to know with City because obviously they've merged with St George's. So do they suddenly have like a massive catchment that they can now recruit from? Do they have like double the potential students now?
I doubt it. It's probably gone in someone's pocket somewhere, hasn't it?
Oh, yeah, fair play.
Probably the case. Someone's done very well out of that merger, I'm sure. And
But
then
yeah, even despite that, I do think Queen Mary are looking like a good team right now, even though City are undefeated. That big win last week is gonna give Queen Mary a lot of confidence.
yeah, I'm with you as well. I think I like City Wolfpack in this one. To be fair, so I'll take City Wolfpack going into this one, which brings us to our final game: Greenwich Mariners against Essex Blades. Greenwich are 0-2-1. Essex are 0-3. Someone's got to win a game. Well, they don't have to actually. It could be a draw, but I hope not. Who's your money on in this one, Kwame?
Give me Greenwich on this one.
Yeah.
Actually, do you know what? I've got something for this. Do you remember the other day we were talking about football?
Yeah.
Right. This is my official endorsement of Greenwich to win this game. This is my
Oh
official
my God.
endorsement.
University of Greenwich Blades. Wow, so it's the same name throughout.
That is
Is that a football shirt?
this is a Charlton shirt from last season. Yeah, it's their away
Oh,
shirt from last
University
season.
of...
They were sponsored by University of Greenwich. So yeah, that's me lending my support this week for the University of Greenwich. No hard feelings or anything against Essex. It's just, you know, when you guys beat us, I was pissed off. So I'm going for Greenwich revenge.
Well, considering we beat Charlton a few weeks ago and I have family from Essex, I'll take Essex. I'll take the Blades in this one. So let's go to the scores. Kwame, how do you think you did this week? Do you think you won or not?
I don't know, because obviously there's a few games. A couple of games obviously caught me off guard, and I expected or I predicted like Gloucester and Greenwich and a few lot. Sorry, not Greenwich. It was Greenwich. Sorry, I
Yeah, you
predicted
picked
you guys to
Greenwich.
win, and they obviously didn't win. AIU predicted them to win, they lost.
Yeah.
Which I have no
Kingston.
idea how. You know, I think Birmingham I predicted them to win, and they lost. And
Yeah.
I feel
MMU
like
as well.
I feel like I lost quite a bit this week. I feel like one of the other weeks I was almost spot on. I had like one wrong, and then it's almost gone downhill since then. I feel like I've been getting gradually worse as the season goes on, which is the opposite of what you would expect.
Yeah. Well, I completely threw this away with my picks in the first 4 divisions that we looked at, because I picked Portsmouth to beat SGS, got smashed. I picked Cardiff to beat Brunel, because even if I think we're going to lose, I'm never picking the other team. So that's
understandable, yeah.
A loss. I picked Warwick, who lost to Newcastle, and I picked a few others that went awry. I picked Essex, who got smashed by QMBL. So actually, I got 12 out of 21, which is really poor. You got 15 out of 21. So we're 1-1, Kwame. I won last week.
I don't know how that happens, but
congratulations. Do you want to thank any family members or anything? Or...
Yeah, I want to thank my son, my daughter, both of whom aren't born yet and will not be born for at least a good few years, because they're not even.
All right,
but yeah, can't wait to the weekend set of games. And yeah, it'll be an interesting one. Again, another week off for me. I don't think we're commentating. I might be wrong.
Right, and with Cardiff, we don't have any more games until after the break. So, yeah, for all you teams that are done for the year, well done on 2025. Well fought, well battled. Some wins, some losses, and we'll see you guys in 2026. Kwame, thank you ever so much for your time today, and I'll see you next week.
See you next week.
Take care, my man.